January 8th, 2025, my life changed. I stopped drinking for the last time. And like many alcoholics before me, I've started and stopped and started and stopped. But this time something radically changed. I was laying there in bed and I was texting my wife, arguing, fighting, and kind of being a jerk and telling her my reasoning. And I got to the point where I was so drunk. She was downstairs sleeping on the living room. I was so drunk that I couldn't even text anymore. And I remember just the room was spinning. I couldn't hold my phone anymore. And I was thinking of something to text her. And all of a sudden, something in my mind became completely sober. There was another part of me that was sober. And it said, don't you dare text anything else. Nothing you say right now is going to help anything. And it came from a place of complete sobriety. Now, you can imagine how weird this was when I was just sitting there drunk, the room spinning, and here's this voice in me that is completely coherent, that has structure to it. The room isn't spinning with that. I realized there was another part of me I didn't understand. You can call it an out of a body experience. You can call it, maybe people go through some kind of, near-death experience, but something inside of me became very clear that there was another part of me I didn't understand. Now, before you think I have like schizophrenia and all that, we all have these different parts of us. We have our egos, we have our soul, we have our spirit, we have our body. And I didn't understand any of this. And it became this quest to find out where this voice came from. What was this voice? And with that voice came a deep desire to want to find out what was happening. And the more I dug into that, the more my brain expanded, the more it seemed like lights become more vivid, and I just had this deep, and I still do have this deep desire just to learn. And maybe you've gone through some kind of, your story is a little different, but maybe you've gone through something and you have that deep desire to know what's more in this life, what is true, what is lies. And this became the spiritual quest at the time. It's funny, I'm still in 2025. We have a few more weeks left in this year. This has all just happened this year. I've had all the spiritual people tell me to slow down, to calm down, to not do things. And honestly, I just have to get away from everybody, because when the light hits you, when God hits you, the really only thing that matters is you and your soul. And your soul wants to teach you. And I started just learning more and more and devouring information still to this day. And like I said, maybe you're going through that too, and you don't really know what to name it. It's an awakening, and there's different layers of awakening. But the more I found, I was a dogmatic person. I was, I would say, a staunch Republican, a hardcore Christian, and I'm still all, whatever. I don't like labels anymore. I just don't like labels anymore. I don't want to be labeled anything anymore. It doesn't mean I'm against that or for. It just means I think there's more things in this world for us to devour on than what they're trying to get us to fight over. I see too many wars over religion. Shouldn't be that way. I see too many wars over, finances and economics and political stuff, and just like, hey, what is that doing for me? And the more I started investing into me and my soul and figuring out where that voice came from, sobriety, it became a spiritual quest. And that's where we're at right now, spiritual quest. And here's what I'm going to tell you what I found about spirituality. When it boils down to, it's really about the energy and the electricity that's inside of us. That spark, and learning how to utilize that spark. Where does that spark come from? What does that spark do? Why do we have that spark? We live in these bodies, and these bodies are these high functioning, vehicles for the spark to be able to, regulate and do some amazing things. But if we don't even understand who's driving and what that driver is doing and how to align with that driver, we're going to fall flat every time. And this quest has taught me that most of what we call spirituality is energy. Energy. You just think about what is God? God is the most powerful energy in the world. In fact, the highest energy is gratitude, which is a form of love. It's the highest frequency. Just like Nikola Tesla said that everything is frequencies. Everything is frequencies. Everything is signals and frequencies, and that's what the universe is all about. One verse, all of us learning how to utilize these frequencies. And I find a lot of times when people wake up, they get scared, they get overwhelmed, and there's a lot of people that act like, having awakenings like a bad thing. And I just never understood that. I have got here, like a lot of people would wait for 5-10 years. I'm not, because it's all right here. There's no fear in this. You learn that fear is your enemy. I don't mind if fear comes knocking on my door, but I'm not going to let him come down and sit at my table anymore. That takes a lot of learning and digging and finding how to utilize this energy. And what I want to do for you is to get you to stop being so scared of this energy. Stop being so scared of your awakening. Stop being so scared of the Schumann resonance, and stop being scared of solar flares, and start saying, man, I can't wait to get some solar flares. I can't wait for some of those hertz to spike up. I can't wait to get a little bit more grounding, because really grounding is everywhere. I'm walking. You can see all this snow right here. I'll give you a free little lesson right here. Do you know that there's particles in this air that is electronically programmed? There's particles that we don't see that has these little atoms that are electronically charged, and they float in the air. And that's why when you rub your hands together, you can see static sometimes. That doesn't come from magic world and fairy dust. It comes from these particles in the world when you rub it and you brush them off. Well, do you know that snow, as it's coming down from the skies, which up there is really charged, and it floats down here. Now, I know that there's going to be a whole bunch of saying, no, those are fake clouds up there, and they're pushing it. And is there truth to that? Probably. Just like, there's probably a lot of chemicals in the air I'm breathing right now, and probably a lot of chemicals in the water. There's things you're not going to get away from, but you know how powerful your body is. I was drinking hardcore. I'm 46 years old, hardcore, putting meats in my body and processed food and alcohol for the last 46 years, not all of it drinking. And within a few months, my body had completely changed. That's how fast your body can change. Our body knows how to deal with these things. You need to learn how to ground. And grounding isn't just grabbing a yoga mat and going to a yoga place. Those are good ways to do it. You don't have to become a Buddhist. You don't have to, be weird or get all these terms and become. You can do it as a Christian. You can do it you can do whatever you want. You can do it as a Muslim. You can do it however you want to do it. Grounding is all over. Your spiritual walk's between you. But I'll tell you, moving that energy, you're going to start finding that there is another world out there that you don't really understand. And the more you ground and you learn to utilize the energy and let it work with you instead of being afraid of it, you're going to start seeing this energy move in ways that you could never, ever, ever imagine. And that's the journey I want to take you on. I want to help you learn how to use snow if you're stressed out. I want to help you go do dishes if you have well water and use electricity. I want to help you see what animals and even just so many ways to ground. And a lot of it's just intentions and understanding where you're at. So join me on this journey. I'm going to be posting daily. I'm going to be taking a little break from YouTube or Facebook groups and just posting on my my wall. And if you want to follow me there in a couple weeks. It's go time. So eat fruits.